everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the Cup.
Hi.
I have a co-host today, everyone.
Oh my goodness.
I am Lana, your resident diva, one of the hosts of the Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where the tea, we spill it piping hot. And this is Kennedy, my co-host for today. And she is ready for some piping hot tea as well. So people, we need to get it ready to go. So, hi.
Oh, and I'm Logan, just a gay.
We love that. I don't know how long she's gonna stick around, but you know, we'll do what I do. But we are here to talk about Celebrity Big Brother.
Yes, we are. We have an eviction. An eviction has happened. Someone is gone.
Yep.
And I'm jumping for joy, I'm going to be very honest.
I'm very not surprised by how excited you are.
Oh, you know.
I mean, you know.
It is what it is. But yes, so we're going to quickly go through a few things that went down in Tuesday's episode, because not much matters from that episode now.
Right.
And then we're going to be diving into tonight's veto meeting and eviction. And the Moooonnnnn Wonnnnn. I hated every part of that. I'm going to be so honest. We'll get there. I hated every single moment of it. I guess, honestly, that's a good place to start, I guess.
I mean, it was in the mini community or our community that we've come from, that looked very familiar to me. It was very much a, similar game that we play a lot,
Oh, yeah.
Some people might call it a safety chain. Some people might call it a safety drag, elimination. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. Reverse safety chain. Yep. It was a lot. So I looked very familiar and very triggering for me. I was like,
So, yeah. So I don't think we started with the gala gift last night, but at some point
we did not. We didn't get a chance to. Yeah, we did start. Yeah. Yeah. At some point, the gala gift was introduced.
Yep.
And was told that there was going to be a punishment and a blessing.
Yep.
So we saw the blessing Tuesday night. We saw the blessing was whoever ended up with the Moooonnn bag hat was going to be they were going to be safe for the week, and they could not even be replaced as a replacement nominee either. If they were just completely immune for the week. So
we love it.
We love to see that. And they went on and people gave each other the bag and the bag and the bag. You have the order?
I have the order. I'm pulling it up as we speak. So it did start with Misha, obviously, because she was the HOH. She gives it to Chris Kirkpatrick, who then gives it to Chris Kattan.
Yes.
Who then passes it to Todd. Then it heads over to Teddy.
Yes.
Then we get Lamar, and then it's all pretty much members of what was the Formation Alliance. That is no longer really an alliance, but that stemmed from the Girls and Gays Alliance that was originally Cynthia, Shayna, Carson, and Todrick. And then at some point in the week, we don't know because live feeds were not on. Boo you, CBS, for not giving us those feeds. But Mariah kind of inserted herself and Teddy into this alliance, which that's a whole other thing. And they were the Formation. So at this point, it's all Formation members left. But Lamar does give the bag to Carson. Carson gives it to Todrick. Todrick gives it to Mariah, and Mariah has the choice between Cynthia and Shayna and gives the hat to Shayna, meaning that the last person with the hat was Cynthia Bailey, and she is safe for the week. Which I love.
I'm okay with that. I'm
I
very
love
much
it.
okay with that.
Yep. Yeah, I think it was a very like safe option. I think
Mm-hmm.
once we got down to Mirai, Shayna, and Cynthia, it was like, okay, these ladies seem to be very, at that point at least, very
Right.
well integrated into the house dynamics from what we knew. Obviously, they were
Exactly.
all aligned together,
Mm-hmm.
so it didn't really matter who got it and who didn't. It turns out it did matter.
It did
Uh,
matter.
it sure did matter. So Cynthia is safe for the week. Like you said, Lana, she gets the blessing, but someone else got the curse, and we will talk about the curse. Um, but
Later.
yeah, and pretty much the best way to equate Misha's HOH is almost as bad as French onion soup.
Um, it was kind of tragic. It was kind of very much all over the place. I felt like
Mhm.
she was making promises and deals with a lot of people and knowing, but and that's what shocked me about that because she was like at the beginning, like, I can't make all these promises to people because I don't want to, do that. But then she goes around and starting all these alliances and was forming her own mini Misha army, it looked like. And it was like, okay.
An athletes alliance that included Chris Kirkpatrick.
And Todrick,
Todrick, okay, I
he's not an
understand.
athlete.
He's not an athlete, but he's closer to an athlete than Chris Kirkpatrick
I mean,
is.
if we go by what he does, he's an entertainer. So was Chris Kirkpatrick. So maybe it's the Athlete Entertainment Alliance because
I
what they
just
call
wish
it,
it, I just wish it was called anything other than the Athletes Alliance.
right?
Now
Because
it's
it's
just the Alliance. There's no name to it.
right. The athletes don't like those people. If you would have just said the athletes and it was like Lamar and Mariah, then okay, sure, that's the Athletes
Mhm.
Alliance because they're all athletes. Great.
Yep.
But then you add Todrick and Chris Kirkpatrick, which I'm like, where are the athletes in that? But okay, whatever.
Right.
People
Right.
you trust. People you
hmm
trust. Get it.
The Alliance. The
Yep.
unnamed Misha Tate Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the only other thing really of note from the last episode, other than noms, was this plan. So Teddy goes to Misha
Mm-hmm.
because Mirai had gone to Misha. They struck a deal in which Misha said that she would like to have Mirai in her alliance
Mm-hmm.
and then also would like to use her as a pawn. And I'm just like,
Yeah, I mean, it was more of Misha grabbing Mariah
mhm,
and saying, I want to pull you into my alliance. So Mariah didn't go to Misha. Misha went to Mariah and told her she wanted her in her alliance, pulled her in
well,
the room, was like,
I meant Misha, or I meant Mirai went to the HOH. That's what I meant.
yeah, but yeah,
Like room.
yeah, Misha, because Misha wanted Mariah to be a part of this alliance. And so she went and got her and said, hey, I want you to be a part of this alliance,
hmm
but I want to put you up as my pawn because I have a plan. But you have to trust me on
Yes.
my plan because my plan does not include sending you home.
Yeah.
I want to backdoor Teddy.
I just wish Misha had not said anything,
Mm-mm.
honestly.
Honestly.
Like, just leave it at you're not the target.
Right.
Know that, and I have the numbers to keep you safe.
Right.
That's all that needed to be said. But instead,
She leaks the
Misha
plan
decides, yep. So Mirai goes straight to Teddy because
Yep.
obviously they're aligned
in the formation.
in the formation. Mirai tells Teddy. Teddy then decides to go to Misha,
No. Oh yeah.
to
Yeah.
Todrick.
He goes to Todrick.
Teddy goes to Todrick, and then Todrick goes to Misha, and then
Teddy
goes to Misha. Oh my god, it was a
Mhm.
mess. It was a
It was
messy
a
mess.
It was a hot mess beyond mess. It was like Mariah went straight to Teddy. It was like,
Mhm.
Misha's trying to backdoor you. She wants you gone. And then Teddy was like, Todrick, I think Misha wants me gone. And he was like, "How do you know?"
Because Mariah
Mariah
told me.
just told me. How does Mariah know? She heard it from
Misha.
like that whole upstairs. She
Mm-hmm.
heard it from upstairs. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Mariah, that was so like.
None of these. I saw so much discourse last night, especially like during and after the episode, of like,
Mhm.
oh my god, Todrick's playing great, but Mariah and Misha are playing horrible. Oh my god, Todrick sucks at this game, but Mariah and Misha are doing well. None of these people are playing well.
No, no, no.
Honestly, and
You
this
know
might
who's
be
playing well? Chris
Lamar
Kattan
Odom.
and Lamar Odom. Chris Kattan and Lamar Odom.
And I will say, we'll talk about tonight's episode in a little bit. Shayna Moakler.
Yeah, but then she just messed herself up a little bit too. But we'll talk about
She
that.
messed herself up again, but we'll talk about it. But yeah, so all of this goes down. Misha finally has to make nominations and decides that she is going to nominate Carson and Mariah.
Yep.
So
After what? Wait, she did tell Carson, "I'm going to put you up. You're going to be my pawn.
mm-hmm.
You're not going home.
Yep.
You're not the target. Trust me.
Yep.
I have a bigger plan, but just know I need you to trust me." And Carson was like, "Okay.
Okay, girl.
All right, girl. I will do what you say since you're the HOH right now, and I will trust that I am not going home." Yeah.
Very that.
That's what he said. And she was like, "Thank you. I appreciate that. And just know you're safe."
Yep.
And that's what I felt like Mariah should have done.
Yeah.
If Misha didn't tell her the plan all the way, Mariah should be like, "You know what? Yeah, okay, girl." Because if you show that kind of trust, like, yeah. But then you make it where you are not the target either. You used to start playing your social game like, "They want to keep me," but you still got to be like, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I would kind of went along with it to get along, but I would be like, I mean, it's not my preference, but if that's what you feel you need to do, if there's no other options, because if there is other options, I would prefer you go with the other options. But if I'm your last resort, then I get it.
Like, I don't ever want to be on the block, but if you have to nominate two people,
right?
So, like, it is.
You
what
play it
is
like it's not a big deal, but then you work it like it is a big deal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will say, diving into tonight's episode, I will say Carson Kressley is diary room gold, and I knew he would be. He is giving me everything I need in this television show. Is he playing a good game? No. But he is giving me my favorite moment of the entire season, I would say, actually, thus far. He's like, "I need to get the veto from Latin to save one's ass." Best moment of the season thus far. We're 3 episodes in.
I feel like Carson is definitely giving me the diary room. He is like the Davon in the diary room to me because, like the Brittany Haynes, the Tamars, like they gave us good diary room. Carson will join the ranks of the best diary rooms given in a season because he's just been giving it like, "Oh, I need a Chardonnay. Mama needs a Chardonnay." Or
he knows what show he's on.
He does. He like, as the kids was, "I'm gooped and gagged." It's like
I screamed when that was happening, and my roommate was like right next to me watching Drag Race, and I look over and I'm like, Carson's at it again.
Carson is definitely giving us the gold. He knows what show he's doing. He knows how to react and give us what we need and entertain us. So yeah.
And he's clearly entertaining the house guests as well, because we see post noms, Todrick in confessional is saying that Carson is his number one competition. And now, so Misha ends up telling Todrick and then also Cynthia that Mirai is now her target post-noms. We see the slow and steady development of the Misha and Todrick final two. Interesting. And that's how I'm gonna leave it at that. And then we see post-noms Mirai kind of break down a little bit in the back bedroom. Talking about how her stress level is really high, representing her community, and we get a little bit more on talks about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I love that Chris Kattan was there to comfort her. Pretty much the only moment other than the live portion we saw Kattan, which I guess week one is not or cycle one. You can't even call them weeks. Cycle one isn't a bad thing. And then the formation is confused.
Yeah. They're very confused. I didn't.
Bewildered.
Befuddled, even.
All the words. Teddy and Carson end up talking later about a potential leak from their alliance. Who is it? And Carson seems to think it's Mirai. But Teddy very clearly is it's Todrick. It has to be Todrick. And Carson's like, I wouldn't think that any of my alliance members would ever backstab me this early. That was a pretty good card. That was a pretty good Carson.
That was good. That was actually pretty good. That was really good.
Thank you. I've been working on my Carson Kressley and my Tim Gunn.
Oh, I do. My Tim Gunn is pretty. I like my Tim Gunn.
Designers.
I don't know. Come on, make it work. You just have to make it work.
Make sure to use the fabric.com wall, any accessories from Dillard's, and just make it work.
Make it work. We're going to head on over to Moooonnn now.
Thank you, Mooonnn. That's who I need to see on season 4. I need Tim Gunn.
Oh my God.
That would be fun.
Epic. I love Tim Gunn so much.
Yes. Yes, the same. We get the comedy moment of the episode is we get a couple. We see Todrick and his Croc heels.
Yes.
Which was a clip we saw on Twitter a few days before the season started.
Yep.
That was great, lovely, wonderful. And then Shayna gossiping to Carson and Kirkpatrick about Lamar and the Chloe situation, which I didn't remember this situation offhand, but when she said it, I was like, oh, I remember seeing that somewhere. Lovely. And then veto player pick. And we got, obviously, it is Misha, Mirai, and Carson, plus Cynthia, Lamar, and Mirai pulls house guest choice and chooses Todrick.
Oh.
What did we think of this veto player pick?
I don't know if she still thinks the formation was a thing at that point or was still good at that point. And she already had Teddy and Cynthia was already pulled. So I think she figured Todrick is still part of the formation. And so he is a logical choice for her who will fight for her. So it made sense. It made sense for her in that moment. But as we saw, Todrick really didn't want to win this anyway. Even if he could have, he didn't want to because he didn't want to have to put his cards on the table like that. So,
So honestly, if I were her in that moment, with how uncertain the formation was at that point, I almost would have picked a non-factor like Todd or Kattan, maybe. Not that they're necessarily non-factors, but
But they're not in the alliance.
That and what is the likelihood
that they would win?
Chris Kattan winning a challenge? Let's be very real and honest in this.
I mean, he can win memory challenges. He can win.
He might have won this one, actually.
He could have been really good at a memory. So it's still the physical stuff. So I get it. I probably would have picked someone outside of my alliance because I'm like, I don't need them fighting for me. But if I pick them, they might still, if they happen to win, because I picked them, and they might.
Or whoever she perceives to be the weakest in whatever judgment level she's giving, whoever she thinks is the weakest, because then it gives her a better chance to win the veto and take herself off.
Exactly. Exactly.
But that's us being super fans of the game and knowing what we would do.
Exactly.
These people have no clue how to play Big Brother. And that's why I love the celebrity seasons, because these people, for the most part, have no clue how to do this.
Right.
And it's funny to see them stumble through Big Brother. Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
It's so entertaining.
It is very entertaining.
Yeah. We're at the veto.
Yeah.
The veto happens. I liked this veto. Schedule snafu.
I liked it. Then I was like, I would be so confused with this veto.
This is the veto. This is the kind of veto I would excel in. Because I was even like talking to my roommate, because he was watching Drag Race. I was trying to watch Drag Race and Big Brother, which will be the perpetual difficulty for the next 2 Fridays for me as well. But I look over and I'm like, so you know those puzzles where it's like Lucy's last name is not Smith. Ryan's last name starts with a letter between M and Q, like some bullshit like that. That's what it felt like for me. And I grew up doing those puzzles. And I think as well with like with the visual of like seeing the texts on the screen, I think I would have excelled in this comp.
Yeah.
Like this is my dream comp. If I need to save my ass ever in a Big Brother game, this is the comp I want. Like, but yeah, so it was a organize where you're headed in this Aspen apres ski situation, but oh no, your personal assistant got everything mixed up.
Even though they're the best assistant in the world, but like, my bad. I've had some snafus, some mess ups. It's my bad, but I'm sure you can figure it out through the text messages that I have. So they had to go read these text messages and figure out where they were supposed to be, in what hour they were supposed to have been there. And so, yeah, they went. They did it. Yeah. They ran.
They did it. Lamar was not good.
No. Lamar would have been me. Lamar would have been me in this comp. I'd have been like, I'm utterly confused. I'd have been like,
Lamar ends up.
Yeah, I would have been like, I don't know what I'm doing, and just stood there for 30 minutes like I have no clue. But yeah.
Fair. So Lamar ends up timing out, which I do think, honestly, I believe that it was part strategy. Because he goes in being like, I don't want to win this. I don't need attention on me. It seems like Lamar Odom knows how to play this game.
I think Lamar Odom is playing a lot of people. No, I think Lamar is playing people. He is playing the card that he is going to be the meta world piece of this game. And I think he understands that. And he's like, I'm going to let them believe I don't know how to do nothing. I can't win no challenges. But when the time, like he said in his confessional, when the time is right, he will strike. And I don't doubt for a second that he is going to be one of those people that if he makes it toward the end, to the second half of this game, with the jury phase of this game, he go turn into a comp beast. And folks are going to be surprised.
If there's anything physical, if he makes it there, Lamar Odom might be my winner pick, y'all, and I didn't think I would say that at the start of the season. It's definitely not Misha anymore.
Yeah, she kind of.
Because I heard some things about good old Miss Misha today that didn't make me happy. But
yeah,
you could probably assume, Lana.
So Lamar 30 minutes.
Yes, fifth place ends up going to Cynthia. She gets
Mhm.
2243.
Mhm.
Mariah and Todrick get almost identical scores, just under 17 minutes. And it comes down to Misha versus Todrick. Misha gets just under 9 minutes. And Carson Kressley slaying the game, winning the first veto of the season. And he was the first one that we saw as well. And he got it on his first try.
Yep. 3 minutes.
Incredibly impressed. I don't think this does anything for his threat level, but he was on the block, so I understand wanting to win.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a week where the
Mon
was in play.
Yeah. Anytime
you grab that guaranteed safety.
Yeah, anytime you're on the block, you go for it. And I don't care if it rises your threat level to a billion, sky high billions. Mm-hmm. You go for your guaranteed safety. Mm-hmm. And it's a veto. You can keep guaranteeing your safety next week and win HOH. And then by that time, people can forget about your threat level because HOH is happening and you're the HOH now and they have to kiss up to you now. So yes, I totally agree with Carson going for that. He made the best decision and he won it like outright. Like there was nobody else going to come back close to beating him.
He won by, what was it, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
So good for you, Carson, winning a comp. We love to see it. We then see, prior to the veto meeting, Mariah is going to Misha because she wants to stay. They strike up a deal where Misha will put a bigger threat next to Mariah on the block in exchange for Mariah, if she wins HOH next week, targeting Carson. And now this is where we see the puppet strings of Mr. Todrick Hall a little bit. Mm-hmm. And while I will say that his stumbling into multiple alliances and crossing the alliance lines too much is definitely not good gameplay, I will fully admit that. This impressed me because Todrick was able to pull Misha in as a puppet for him that quickly. And that's the experience of living with Tiffany Mitchell for however long Tiffany Mitchell was in his house. That's the Todrick we expected to see going into the Big Brother house.
I agree. I feel like Todrick making Misha feel so comfortable with him so fast to the point where not only is she comfortable with him, but she listens to him and does his work for him. He saw the formation crumbling. He saw Carson rising as the biggest threat socially in that house. And you can't have someone who is just as social as you are in the same game because no, you need to be that person. And Carson was...
Y'all can't play the same game.
And since day one, Carson was doing that. And so now, and then winning that veto so convincingly did not help Carson's case at all. It just showed that not only is he a social threat, but he can become a competition threat at any moment he wants to. So for Todrick to go in there and get Misha to trust and listen to him was very impressive. And in that point, when Misha was talking to Mariah, I was sitting there watching that conversation, and I was like, this conversation sounds eerily like I've heard it, very deja vu-ish before. I don't know.
You think
I've heard this conversation before. Same conversation, different cast. But because the same
I wonder
because the same deal it was almost like the same deal that Teddy gave Misha, Mariah was giving Misha, but Misha added on the Carson factor for Mariah and not for Teddy. Misha was like, long as you keep me safe, Teddy, we're good. I'll keep
Mhm.
you keep I'll keep you. You good? I'm good, and that's fine. But with Misha, it was like you go keep me safe. I'm gonna keep you safe,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
you have to target Carson and Mariah with no place else to go, no other
Literally.
options to take. Was like, yeah. Now, is she gonna stick with this deal? Only time will tell. But
Is she smart enough to throw this HOH as skillfully as she possibly can?
she should, if so, it won't be on her, and if somebody else could go after Carson. But if
Yep.
she wins the
Yeah.
HOH, her car's gonna be on the table. So,
Yeah. And then we see one of the strangest yet most brilliant moves that has been made this season, in my opinion at least. So Shayna and Teddy are concerned about being the renom. And like Shayna has nothing to worry about. And she doesn't know that, but she has absolutely nothing to worry about because at that point, uh before Teddy had even been brought up as a renom possibility, Misha had vocally said, "Oh, if the veto is used, I'm putting up Catan."
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, like, Shayna, without knowing that she is in the absolute clear, no way in hell. I feel like she probably would have been the last possible person Misha would have renommed,
Yep,
honestly.
yeah.
Um, so she goes to Misha to strike up a deal, and Shayna just straight up throws the information about the formation at Misha. Just straight up
Just
throws it at her. Here's this information. And I will say, I thought this was crazy at first. But with the way the house dynamics seem to be, and what we learned last night from feeds, Shayna has put herself in a great position, in
mm-hmm,
my opinion, because now she's straddling this line. She's playing the game that Todrick wants to play in a
mm-hmm,
lot of ways, because now she's straddling this line between what used to be the formation, now is sort of the Carson, Cynthia, and Teddy grouping, and now also included in this athletes alliance, or I like calling it Misha's Army. You said that earlier, and I was like, I like that. Misha's Army with Todrick, Lamar, Kirkpatrick, and Mariah, kind of.
mm-hmm,
Mariah's kind of involved in this as well.
mm-hmm.
But now Shayna fully agrees in this moment to play double agent with the formation. And it took me a second, and in the commercial break, I was like, "Wait, this is genius!" Like,
I
I don't know if she intended it to be this way, but I think she's slid herself into a very solid position in this game.
I do
I
too. I feel like what she did in this moment was because she still has the trust of Carson and Cynthia. Well, she did.
yeah.
She did. She had the trust of Carson and Cynthia at that point, and Mariah still kind of trusted her. And so then, now what she did was by telling Misha this information, she gained trust from Misha, who will now let Todrick and Chris and Lamar know Shayna's good.
Yeah.
We don't have. So she kind of slid herself into this as Misha's Army Alliance,
Mm-hmm.
but not to the point where it's like downright noticeable. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
well, it wasn't until the vote tonight. But I feel like it was a good thing because eventually you're going to have to pick apart a side in a house,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to stick with your group and ride them out.
Yeah.
And so with the flakiness of the formation, it kind of is like a smart move to stick with what seems like the stronger alliance or the stronger side at this point.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot more game to play. And I feel like Shayna is ready and actually a person to look out for.
Yeah. Because I don't think either side would come for her very early.
Not first.
Not first. Yeah, I wouldn't even say second.
Yeah. Because
On either side.
I feel like if Cynthia or Carson was to win HOH, Todrick and Misha should be worried.
Todrick and Misha would be on the block.
Yeah, that's what I said. They should be worried. They would be worried. If Todrick was to win HOH, Carson and Cynthia would need to worry.
Yep.
And if Chris wins, same thing. Carson and Cynthia would need to worry. But the way Shayna has positioned herself, she won't have to worry for a minute.
No.
She won't.
And with how short and how fast this game moves.
Yes.
She's impressed me. I'm going to be honest. And I didn't expect a whole lot out of her, just not really knowing her background. But I'm thoroughly impressed.
Hearing her story about how much she loves Big Brother and watches it, I was like, okay. We've seen people who say they watch the show and watch it, and then they go in the house and be stupid, French onion dip soup, and they do dumb things. But we also seen people who are fans of this show go in the house and do amazing things, Tiffany Mitchell. And so I feel like Shayna could be somebody who is going to impress us throughout the season, who's going to go in the house as a fan and do good things. Same thing I feel like with Chris Kirkpatrick, and I'm not just saying that just because I love and sing, but he's actually playing a game and he's talking strategy. Like, I enjoy seeing people talk strategy, talk game, and make sense about the talk that they're like. Yeah. You can tell people who's just faking like they know what they're talking about, and they like, that's what Teddy was doing for me. Like, she would say things and she was trying to be the life coach, and but it wasn't coming off like she knew what she was talking about. So I wouldn't really want her as my life coach because I don't believe nothing she say. But she just didn't seem, nothing seemed sincere with her for me.
Yeah.
But I feel like Shayna is going to be one of those people who is going to talk some good game and play a good game in this game. And I'm impressed. I can't wait to see her, what she does next.
Same.
How she gets out of this situation tonight.
Yep. So, speeding through a few things, Todrick decides to tell his puppet, Misha, that they need to take Carson a peg down by targeting Teddy. She then decides she's going to tell Teddy that she's going up. Teddy is fighting for herself, and as much as I don't like the woman, I will say she fought. Yeah. And I can appreciate that as someone who appreciates this game. And whether she knew it or not, she used backdoor properly.
Yeah,
and that's all I can ever ask of a Big Brother cast, is to use the term backdoor properly. Yep. That's all I ever wanted. So we do get the veto meeting. Carson obviously uses the power veto on himself, and Misha puts Teddy up in his place, meaning that the renoms are Mirai and Teddy. The only other thing to point out, and I thought was pretty powerful before we get into the Wonnnnn of it all, was the conversation that we see between Mirai and Lamar.
Exactly. I was going to talk about that.
Yeah. By all means, please do.
No, it was a great conversation, and I feel like conversations like that need to be held and need to be had on television so people can understand. Like, it's two different cultures of people who experiences the same kind of have the same experiences in this country. We love this country.
Yes.
People say, and it's this thing, and that's what Lamar said. He loves America. He just wished America loved him back. And that
I wrote down the quote because it hit me as someone who will never understand that at all. He said, I wanted to represent my country in reference to like being an Olympian
In the
as well, because
Olympian.
he is an Olympian as
He is an
well.
Olympian. A gold medal Olympian, by the way.
Yep,
By the way.
He said, I wanted to represent my country and I want my country to represent me. And
Right.
that, if there's nothing else you take away from this season of Big Brother, like, thank you, CBS. The one thing y'all have done right recently is showing this conversation, because we didn't get to see it on Feeds. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because Mariah's like, it's up to my she mentioned she's like, it's up to my generation to unlearn all the things that past generations have learned. Like, because racism is a learned thing, and if it's up to the younger generation to teach their kids not to learn hate, and the fact that her in her Asian her Asian community experience the same thing that Lamar does in the Black community, and for them to come together and like share their experiences and like, look, we do love this country. We love representing this country. We just want the country to represent us is a powerful statement. And that's the thing. And I think every minority and every person of color can attest to this. We don't hate America. We don't hate America. And every time when we complain, when we speak our grievances on things and want justice and want the same treatment, it's not us hating America. It's literally saying, look, America, we want the same things you're giving everybody else. Yeah. All we want is the same. We don't want anything special. We don't want anything different. We don't want anything more. Literally, we just want the same. You respect our white counterparts, respect us as well. You give them all kinds of freedoms, give us the same freedoms. That's it. And people take that as, oh, you hate the country. And if you hate it, go back to where you came from. Well, guess what, sir, madam, who say go back to where I came from, I will still be in America because I came from Chicago, Illinois. So there's nowhere for me to go. So my place is here. This is home. This is what I know. And so I appreciated that conversation between Mariah and Lamar. I appreciate that CBS is starting to show more of these conversations that goes on these reality shows, because as much as this is for entertainment, as much as this is reality shows and blah, 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 real life happens on these shows. Those are real people living real life experiences. And so they can only talk about their real life. And this is real life. I'm sorry that for a second or for a couple minutes, your entertainment was interrupted by reality, but it's a reality show. So this is reality. And I don't want to hear people complaining, even though we know people are going to complain because that's what people do. But I still find out it was a very important conversation. I'm glad they had it, and I hope more people can have more conversations like that on these shows, because the more people talk about it, the more other people who never even, like you said, never even imagined things like that can hear it. Like if you live in your white bread world with your white friends and your white surroundings, you don't understand, because everything about you is bright. It's great in your world, in your bubble. But once you step outside that bubble and realize the world is not kind to everybody, then you can start to change. Then you can accept change and be like, you know what? Let me figure out what I'm not doing so I can make it right. Yeah. That's all we ask. That's all people ask.
Yep. Shall we move on to the Moooonnnnn?
I guess we have to.
Because, I mean, that's all that's left. So we find out the curse of Moooonnn. Shocker. You take off the Velcro patch and you flip it upside down. Y'all couldn't have installed a mechanism in that bag to just turn it. Y'all really had to do Velcro.
The budget. The
was
budget.
not there because there were like those cheap little jewels on the front too.
The budget.
I said, I know exactly where I can buy those on Amazon because I have. But
anybody who knows a bejewel or bedazzle can do that. That's just...
Yep. So now instead of Wonnnnn, it is Nom Now. And so those of us who have played online reality games will know that this is a good old safety chain. And I got triggered again. I was like, no.
I did too. I was like, oh,
because I've been at the bottom of so many safety chains. It's
not cute. It's not cute.
It really is not.
All I know is, and it was funny because during that moment when Julie was about to announce the Wonnnnn is now the Nom Now, and she was like, I heard rumblings during the commercial break, and everyone was like, and the camera instantly goes to Chris Kirkpatrick, and he's like, I knew it. And it was like, I'm like, it took y'all till tonight to figure out that Wonnnnn is now Nom.
Wonnnnn.
I was like, but okay. Mess.
So the twist, though, is the last person to receive the Nom Now hat isn't a third nominee, which is what I assumed it to be. Instead, they have the choice to remove either Mariah or Teddy from the block, and they take their place. It's basically a veto, but you're the nominee. Which I will say, I kind of liked this twist on, because we've seen stuff like this before. I liked this little twist on it. It didn't end up being, all that impactful, but in a different house, it could have.
Yeah. If they would have done this on a regular season, I think this would have been very impactful.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been much, much more messier. It would have been, especially if you would have did it in the first week with his 16 house guests.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Could you imagine the mess that would have happened? And cards would have been put on the table week one.
Love it.
Who you riding with?
I will say of the week, it's not even, this one was actually a week. Of the week one twists we've seen in Celebrity Big Brother so far, this would have to be my favorite.
Yeah. I didn't like the Wonnnnn thing, but
Wonnnnn.
Okay, stop, please.
So we go on to the Nom Now train. Cynthia starts the train because she is the holder of the Wonnnnn hat. And obviously, Misha winning HOH and Carson winning veto, they are not part of this chain either, and they are safe. So Cynthia passes the hat to Shayna, who passes it to Kirkpatrick. And at this point, we're left with Todd Bridges, Chris Kattan, Lamar Odom, and Todrick Hall. And I'm like, is Todrick going to be this third nom? Is it going to be Todrick? And then no, because Chris Kirkpatrick gives it to Todrick. And I was like, the mess if Todrick was on the block next to Teddy. The mess that would have... The mess. But Todrick ends up giving it to Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan then chooses Lamar, meaning that the final noms for the week are Teddy Mellencamp and Todd Bridges, neither one of which started the week on the block.
Yep.
So we love to see it. It's a mess, and I do love that part about Big Brother, regardless of what season and regardless of who it's about. So yeah. We got eviction speeches. Todd just says, "Do what you got to do."
Do what you got to do. I
loved.
I will remember that speech forever.
Honestly. And Teddy says that she's grateful for her time. She's played a straightforward game. She's fighting to be here, etc., etc. This vote was a lot closer. I should have expected it to be close, but it was a lot closer than I anticipated it.
I just want to know. I have a question, though. Because is Chris Kattan just don't like Todd Bridges because he snores? Is that the only reason?
Yes, I'm convinced that is the only reason.
That is sick.
Just move bedrooms.
Right, so go to a different room. How about you win HOH? You'll have a whole room to yourself.
Right, for like 4 days.
But like, ask somebody else if they don't mind switching rooms.
Right? Like, I don't
It's
know.
not that deep, but okay.
But yes, so by a vote of 5-3, the first person evicted from the Celebrity Big Brother house is Teddy Mellencamp.
Bye.
Thank you, Jesus. Bitch, bye. I will say the 3 votes to evict Todd were from Chris Kattan, Cynthia, and Carson. None of which truly surprised me.
Nope.
Carson and Cynthia were aligned with Teddy, and Chris Kattan hates Todd Bridges because he snores.
Yep.
So, yeah, bye, Teddy.
Bye.
She said that the best game player right now is either Lamar or Chris Kattan, and I said, Lamar I can get behind. Because I do think Lamar is playing a great game. But Chris Kattan?
I mean, he's playing a great game because he ain't doing nothing and nobody's...
We saw him 3 times. 3 times. Comforting Mariah during the Moooonnnnn and voting to evict. That's all. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's a non-factor. Whatever. So we do get a glimpse into the schedule for the coming next 2 episodes. We know that Sunday's episode is going to be the HOH comp and the nominees, with Monday's show being, I believe, 2 hours. I believe it's a 2-hour episode with the veto competition, the veto meeting, and the second eviction of the season. So we will not be live on Sunday talking about it. We will be, from here on out, we will only be doing eviction episodes, which I believe are Mondays and Fridays up until the finale. So our schedule for our live streams will be Mondays and Fridays at 11 p.m. Eastern-ish. Ish. It's a strong ish. We've got things going on in our lives. We've got nieces to take care of in Lana's case. We've got people to make dinner for on my end. Honestly, that's a lot of where I was at.
We got lives, people. We got jobs. We got things.
Yep. With the VODs, I will say the VODs uploaded later that night or very, very early the next day on YouTube. So this one will be available as well if you're watching live or if you're watching on YouTube, regardless. And that was it. We did it.
We did it.
First eviction is done by Teddy Mellencamp. And I would like to leave you all with some wise words from Miss Julie Chen-Moonves, because the Julie quotes are back, and I'm happy about it. But before we do, thank you all so much for joining us. Make sure to subscribe, follow, like, all the things at once. All those things. Every single one of them. And in the words of Julie Chen-Moonves, love one another. Goodbye. Bye-bye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we can go whenever we ready to.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Please leave.
Just
Bye. Goodbye.